Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the 3D Critic channel. Today I'm going to give you guys my performance review on the Puma MB.04 Low tops. This is LaMelo's fourth signature shoe with Puma, and it is the low top version of the MB.04s, which I reviewed earlier, and it was a very solid shoe at the end of the day with the price that you are getting. Really nice traction, decent cushioning setup in my opinion, with pretty nice materials, even though it's kind of cheap in my opinion, with very solid lockdown and pretty decent support on top of it. So with the low tops, I figured it was going to be the same thing, but with a little bit of differences here and there. So with that in mind, I'm just going to go over the similarities between the low tops to the high tops, and I'm going to go through the differences in a little bit extra length just to get through what you need to look for when it comes to differences in the regular top compared to the low top. First key difference that I will note of is the price. They are going for $115 compared to the high tops where they are $125. So it is going to be a little cheaper when it comes to the low tops. So if you guys are interested, they are available right now on Puma.com and as well as on Foot Locker. So I will leave links in the description box below if you guys are interested. Now, the first thing that carries over from the high top to the low top is the traction setup itself, with a full length rubber outsole with a basic storytelling traction pattern, with the central portion being herringbone traction pattern with wording here right on the forefoot with a UFO right up the top. And as you get to the back half, you do get a flamed out pattern that transitions into the heel with rare spelled out. So when it comes to the grip, overall they feel exactly the same as the high top, with the grip level being pretty decent with some break-in time required from what I've experienced. Initial grip isn't good and you do slide around a little bit, and when it came to vertical movements it felt the same way. So once it's broken in, it actually has a pretty nice grip profile. So lateral movements going side to side was pretty good. Vertically, hard stops were good when it came to stopping on a dime, and you get decent get-offs as well. On dusty courts, it does pick up a little bit of dust where some dust does stick to it. However, every now and then, as long as you wipe it down, you're going to be just fine. And for durability, the grooves are kind of thin, but when it comes to indoor use, it's actually pretty solid with a little bit of fraying here in the high wear areas. But for outdoor use, I would be cautious of that because of the thin tread that you're going to get. So at the end of the day, it's a basic carryover from the high top to the low top, so there isn't that much of a difference when it comes to the traction setup itself. So the next thing that carries over is the cushioning setup, where you do get the exact same full-length EVA midsole along with a nitro-infused foam in the forefoot as well as in the heel. So as a result, when it comes to forefoot cushioning, it feels exactly the same in my opinion when it comes to a pretty nice responsive feel at the end of the day, with a surprising amount of liveliness under your foot with a midfoot shank plate to aid in that springiness. So feels really nice and feels exactly the same as the high tops, and the same thing goes for the heel. It is very nice and forgiving, and it has a really nice amount of compression, and it feels really forgiving on foot. And as a result, the impact protection felt very solid as well when it came down to heel strikes. And as far as fluidity goes, feels exactly the same. Very nice fluid strides. Heel to toe transitions felt really smooth, and it was very nice going up and down the court with these. So at the end of the day, it was basically exactly the same as the high tops because it is the same cushioning setup and the same midsole build when it comes down to it. So at the end of the day, it feels exactly the same, with a decent responsive feel in the forefoot with a little bit of bounce under your foot, and the heel cushioning is very nice as well, with very fluid strides when it comes down to it. Now, the last thing that carries over, in my opinion, is the support setup as well, because of the traction setup. It's basically the same, and as well as the cushioning midsole tooling that you're going to get as well. So as far as that goes, when it comes to the lateral support, you do also get no outrigger, but you do get this plastic guard that prevents the material from giving in. However, if you are on an angle, you will start noticing it roll on you, which I've experienced in the high tops as well. So that might be an issue when it comes to the forefoot support when it comes to lateral movements. In the midfoot, it does carry that guardrail over to give you some decent protection, but not that much because of the flexibility of the materials itself. In the back, you also get an internal heel counter, which is pretty stiff, so you're going to have some nice stability here in the back half as well. As far as torsional rigidity goes, basically carries over from the midsole construction that you're going to get, with a midfoot shank plate to give you some really nice torsional rigidity here in the forefoot, with some decent flexibility here in the forefoot, and really nice rigidity and balance as well inside the shoe. And the base, like I said earlier, carries over the outsole setup, so you're going to have a nice flat base with a decent amount of wideness as well to it, so you're going to have some nice stability on your foot with a decent platform to land on as well. So in terms of that, it's basically the same because of the traction setup as well as the cushioning setup as well. Basically carries over the same tooling, and pretty stable at the end of the day as far as the support goes, and basically the same as the high top in my opinion. Now, the first difference that is quite noticeable is the fact that this is a low top, but is also the materials as well. In the low tops, you do get this engineered mesh material here in the forefoot, and it continues into the lateral and medial side of the shoe as well, and it continues further back into the shoe where you do get this big lamello patch here in the heel. The tongue itself is covered in this plastic, and you also get a pull tab right up top with some decent mesh padding here on the top, decent ankle padding here, as well as some decent padding in the heel. And as far as that goes, it's basically the same as the high tops, but it doesn't have the exoskeleton shell that the high tops have. So as far as the overall comfort is, it is quite comfortable and very flexible here in the forefoot. The padding on the tongue is pretty nice at the end of the day, so I didn't experience any discomfort on the tongue and didn't experience any hot spots or any irritation in the lace length itself. Ankle padding is minimal, but it gets the job done, as well as the heel padding. It's overall pretty decent when it comes down to it. When it comes to the aesthetics, it is on the more basic side when it comes down to it. With the exoskeleton that you got on the high top, it was quite out there as far as the overall design goes, but this is pretty more simplistic. Aside from the alien skin colorway that you get here, there are more simplistic colorways that are coming out with the all white, which is pretty good, so I would keep that in mind when it comes to the overall look of that. So a much more simplistic look when it comes down to it, and much more basic when it comes to the material choice overall, with a basic engineered mesh build without the exoskeleton build that you're going to get. So it is a more simplistic version to the high top, and it is also a low top style, as it obviously states. Now, the second difference that I've noticed in the low tops is the overall fit itself. When I went true to size on the high tops, it was pretty good when it came to the fit, and it was quite snug, and I went true to size in that for a pretty snug fit. But in this, going true to size, it is quite roomy when it comes to the length of the shoe. You do get a little bit of dead space, and the width is a little wider as well, considering that the material is a little bit more flexible and more spaced out compared to the high tops. So that directly correlates to the lockdown itself. When it comes to the forefoot, you do slide here and there when it comes to lateral movements, and it does shift forward a little bit when you do vertical movements as well. So keep that in mind when it comes to the forefoot lockdown. When you go true to size, it is a little bit more roomier and it has more length, and as a result of that, you will slide around a little bit inside the shoe when it comes to the forefoot lockdown. And as far as fit is concerned, because of that, I would probably go down a half size for a performance like fit. You should be fine going true to size because it is more forgiving. In the high tops, when I went true to size, you did experience a little bit of cramping and you did have to break it in, but in this, I didn't experience any of that, so do keep that in mind when it comes to sizing. For narrow footage, you should go down half a size as well to get the best overall fit, while for wide footage, you should be fine going true to size. And continuing into the lockdown, as far as the midfoot is concerned, it is basically the same lacing setup in the high tops, but it is a low top style design, so you're not going to get a little bit more containment when it comes to the high top shoe. But as far as midfoot containment, it is pretty nice, and you do get a semi-gusseted tongue to give you a nice one-to-one fit here in the midfoot. So it's pretty standard as far as the midfoot lockdown is concerned. But in the back, with the minimalistic padding that you get in the heel as well as around the ankle, and the fact that it is a low top style design, you are going to experience some heel slippage a little bit more than normal compared to the high top version, because you do get a little bit more of a cradled feel in the heel. But in this, you do experience a little bit of heel slippage here or there. So that is like the only difference when it comes to the lockdown to me. The fit and the heel, you do experience some heel slippage and some sliding here or there when it comes to the lockdown itself. So it is kind of a downgrade when it comes to the lockdown, in my opinion, because of the fit issues that you're going to get and the low top style that you're going to get in the lows as well. So to sum it up for you guys, the low top, there really isn't that much of a difference in terms of the overall performance, because it carries over the traction setup, the cushioning setup, as well as the overall supportive structure that you're going to get. So if you want something similar to the high tops and you want to save a little bit of money, I would go with the low tops, in my opinion. But if you do want something that is more containing, in my opinion, I will go with the high tops, because in the lows, you do experience some heel slippage, and because of the roomier fit that you're going to get in the shoe, you will start to slide around a bit here or there. So when it comes down to it, it's all about personal preference, in my opinion. So if you want something that feels exactly the same as the high top with a little bit of a cheaper budget, just go with the low tops. But if you do want something more containing and more form-fitting, in my opinion, I will go with the high tops. And that was what I would prefer at the beginning, because I do like a more one-to-one fit when it comes to the shoe itself, and a better lockdown as far as it goes. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to personal preference. If you like low tops, go with the lows. If you want more supportive lockdown containment, I will go with the high tops at the end of the day. Thank you guys for watching this video. This has been my performance review on the Puma MB.04 Lows. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below on what you think of the MB.04 lows? Are they better than the high tops, or are the high tops better than the lows, or are they exactly the same aside from the low top style? I'd like to know your thoughts, as well as what is your personal preference, mid tops, low tops, high tops. I would like to know your thoughts on that, as well as any other questions that you might have for me. If you'd like to stay up to date with future videos that I'll be posting, hit the subscribe button down below. It'll greatly support the channel as well. And if you want to see my full in-depth review of the MB.04 high tops, I will leave that on the corner of the screen right here. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, all of that information will be in the description box below. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your day. I hope this was beneficial to you guys. And until next time, keep shooting.